Well, normally when I play this game, I play as the best character, which of course is the bird. But it looks like there might be another bird that's joining the party. And now that he's here, let's get him upgraded. Well, I've read through his hero skills and have absolutely no idea how to use this character, so this should be pretty fun.
2 hours later.
Alright, so I've played with this owl a little bit now, and I feel like I get a basic understanding of exactly what his deal is. So we're going to go with a brand new adventure. We'll play in the reincarnation mode, and we'll see just how well we do. Alright, so the easiest way to describe how the owl works is going to be by describing the secondary skill and the primary skill, and how they work together. So the secondary skill involves you pulling out 3 cards, and these 3 cards will deal damage to the enemies that are around you. But what they also do is that they will call in a random thing called Astro Specs. And these Astro Specs will be these 3 different blocks that appear down at the bottom there. So every time I bring in some cards, a new Astro Spec appears. So that one is blue, this one is also blue, and then this one is blue as well. So I could call in the cards, and that adds in Astro Specs. Now all 3 of those together are what you call the Astro House. The Astro House is what you will use for your primary skill. You gain the Astro House through obtaining the Astro Specs, so every time you get 3 of the cards at the bottom, you will gain the Astro House. But the catch is that you need to have the Astro House being made up of the exact same rarity of all of the other things that are in there. So for all 3 of these, because all 3 of them are blue, they are the normal. So right now my Astro House is the normal rarity. If I was lucky enough to get these with the rare or the legendary rarities, it'll deal even more damage every time I use the primary skill. The catch is that if I get some of them as being normal, rare, or legendary, and others not matching up to normal, rare, or legendary, they are incomplete, and that is the impure Astro House, which deals significantly less damage. So our owl friend here is basically set on being a secondary skill user. And you could use quite a lot of secondary skills. You see right now I have a total of 10 cards that are set up right in front of me, and these cards will go off and deal damage to the random enemies that are around me. The problem, if you notice, is that I accidentally pulled out a purple scroll. And now this made my primary skill completely worthless. It is no longer of the normal skill, and it is the one that is now known as impure, so it's not going to deal all that much damage. Now the way that we get the different Astro Specs come with the occult scrolls. So every time that we will have scrolls, they will add different values to the different levels that we have here for the upgrades. So right now we have a 60% chance of drawing a blue, a 36% chance of drawing a purple, and a 4% chance of drawing a orange. And every time we have a curse scroll pop up, it basically takes the place of a random color, just kind of at random. So that means in order to make our owl the absolute best warrior that he can be, we need to make our primary skill something that will actually function. So every time we pick up an occult scroll, it's going to have a random value assigned to it, and this probability is going to change based on those assigned values. So if we have a whole bunch of the normal scrolls, we're going to have a higher chance of drawing the normal scrolls here. If we have more of the legendary ones, then the legendary chance will also go up. So that means as I go through this run, I'm going to be going through the scrolls one at a time and making sure I'm dropping the ones that I don't need and the ones that might be hurting my chances of getting the best upgrades. And as far as my playstyle goes, we're going to be keeping our distance and trying to spawn in as many of these cards as possible, because the cards are going to be the damage dealers here. So with that being said, let's start our journey. So I guess we could start with this. So basically what this means is there's a chance to upgrade my Astro House, which is the 3 cards at the bottom, by 1 level. So when I do the Falling Star, which is the ability, we'll be able to upgrade that if that was to be filled. So if that Astro House was blue, then I might be able to make it into purple. Again, right now the ability doesn't deal that much damage, and it's not very good. Also, this is a brand new weapon. We're going to probably be using this weapon quite a bit. There's a certain build that I want to get to work, so let's see if we can make it happen. So the cards are pretty impressive, as long as you can keep spawning in a bunch of different cards. They kind of just go off and kill everything on their own. They have a pretty good range and deal significantly high amounts of damage. And if you notice, every single time I spawn in brand new cards, that changes the 3 Astro Specs at the bottom, and because they all are the same color, I have the Astro House. And that has upgraded my primary ability, so now we can use it. So right now his primary is actually kind of useful, so we'll shoot off these cards here. And that dealt about 3,600 damage. I saw that number twice, so we could say that did it 2 different times, which is a pretty good amount of damage, especially early on in the first room. So this is a strange catch-22, where this character doesn't really seem to have a good primary ability, but it can be upgraded to be a very good primary ability if you just kind of wait for the right moment. Right there, I missed my chance by not using the primary ability at the right time, because I was more focused on using the secondary one. So you kind of have to think about how to use this character at the right time. His primary ability is not what we're going for here. Also, this looks pretty good, so it is a rare scroll. So every time I hold on to this, it's going to increase my chances of getting rare just a little bit. So now I'm at 40%, which is more than what it was a little bit earlier. Alright, and I'll go with this ability here. It gives me 4 extra cards, so every time I spawn more of them in, I'm actually able to hold even more than I was before. So I could hold 14 now rather than my usual 10. So we're that much more powerful. Now that I have my Astro House complete, I can use my ability, and it's not exactly wasted. Plus this guy doesn't really seem to be able to do too much. He's a dummy. And so now with this Astro House, I have a purple rarity, which is kind of nice, so now I'm going to be able to deal slightly more damage, so we'll see what I can deal on this next enemy that jumps down. Again, if I bring out more cards, that might not be very good. I missed him completely, because I suck, but that would have dealt more damage. If we pretend it hit him, it would have been much nicer. And we'll take this legendary, so we've got that in our inventory now. Now our legendary chance is up to 12%. Alright, now we can use our ability. That dealt quite a lot more damage. It was about 7,200 damage a couple of different times. It hit multiple enemies, so once you're finally able to get those to work, it does deal quite a bit of damage. The trick is just getting into a point where we can actually use it, because right now if I were to use it, it only deals at the bare minimum. It did kill those enemies, but it was a much smaller kill. So Falling Star is our primary ability. We could upgrade that, but I want to go all card damage, so we're going to go with the base card damage being increased depending on the rarity of the cards that we have obtained. So right now we don't have any, but every time that we get more, we will have even more card damage based on those 3. So a couple of those are red, which is pretty good, so it's probably because of my legendary skill at the bottom there. They probably dealt a little bit extra damage. But again, my main tactic here is going to be to keep my distance and sort of let the cards do all of the damage for me. I'm not going to run in like the other bird. This owl is a bit more of a ranged fellow. My cards are red. They dealt some pretty good damage there. It's kind of hard to tell with all the numbers and stuff going off, but I feel like it's good damage. Yeah, so I think the most intimidating thing about this character is the fact that you're constantly hearing all these different kind of names and words and stuff. The Astro House refers to the 3 cards at the bottom, and the Astro Specs refers to them individually. The goal is to get the Astro House, which is all 3 of them, to be the same color. As long as that happens, then you can use your primary ability, and it deals even more damage. Yeah, so these cards are doing a pretty good job at just kind of wiping through these guys. Individually, they don't do a lot of damage, but you can really get them to stack up after just a couple of seconds. So that was a pretty good way for me to put that primary skill. We'll get some of our cards. He is dealing a lot of damage to us, but I think we'll be just fine. Get all our cards to go off in his general direction, shoot him in the face a few times, and he is dead. So not the quickest clear, but it is definitely something that I'm okay with. So now when I choose these skills, I need to keep in mind the rarity of them. So this one is rare, this one is normal, and this one is legendary. So we should probably take the legendary. That means I will have more legendary spawn in a little bit later. So now I'm up to 16% chance of having legendary spawn at the bottom here. Now I could get this preemptive strike, which deals more damage for my gun, but that would affect everything because I have a normal scroll here. I'll get it just for the sake of having it, but I think that makes everything else kind of go down a little bit. Not sure what this was before, although this is a enhanced version, and it does have this very nice symbol on it, so maybe it kind of didn't really affect anything there. I do have a 1% chance of now getting the curse scroll, but I really don't think that's going to matter. So pretty good use of the primary skill right there. Took that enemy out like that. Let's just see what our cards can do here. I'm not sure if his shield is blocking any of that damage, but if it is, he needs a new shield. He needs to return that one. It did not do him really any good at all. Oh, and now we have this weapon with 2 legendary upgrades on it. I was using this thing earlier and it was absolutely insane. So with this ring here, you can basically move the ring out, and you can move the ring in. So when you move it out, this ring of, ring will deal damage to enemies if they kind of walk into it, or if you use it to walk into them. And if you bring it in, that'll deal extra damage. And every time you bring it in, it sort of has a little explosion effect, so once it's in here, enemies closest to you will take a little bit more damage based on exactly how close they are to you. Here's another rare upgrade, so we'll pick that one up for sure. But yeah, what makes this thing super amazing is the fact that you can extend it out and then just sort of hide behind cover, and enemies might not be able to reach us, so we'll demonstrate that very soon. So this says using a secondary skill we could deal more damage, which does sound quite nice. I wouldn't mind 10% damage though for each of the elites that we've beaten. There's kind of a lot, but we're going to take this one. More secondary skill damage. I think we're going on a secondary skill build for this particular character. Alright, so we can let this thing go out here. We basically exploded that stuff, and then all the stuff in there is just going to be taking a lot of damage. We weren't dealing a ton of damage to them, but they literally couldn't even see us, so that kind of just shows you how good this thing really can be, especially when you hit them in the head. Plus, I'm hitting all the enemies around me in just any kind of circular pattern, so it's a very strange new weapon, but I am a big fan of it already. I've only used it a couple of times. It's a very, very high damaging weapon that you can exploit very, very nicely. So yeah, he can't even really get close to me. I can hide behind this pillar. He is dead, because he's a stupid. This will also boost our weapon and skill damage for a couple of seconds. So this basically means if my first card is a blue and then the second is a purple, like it is right now, it's already going to kind of reset those, because there's no chance for me to get all three of them as being the exact same. So hopefully that helps me make it the same a little bit more. So the Evil Banishing Talisman is also going to be an interesting upgrade here. It is a normal variant upgrade, and also the Cursed Scrolls will affect my primary skill charging. But if I have the Evil Banishing Talisman, I won't get the effects of the scrolls themselves, but they will still affect how my primary skill is used when I'm charging up all of the abilities. So this is a very strange thing for me to get. I'll get it now because it's pretty much my favorite, because I might want to do a curse build a little bit later on, but we'll just kind of only buy a couple of these lesser upgrades here. But yeah, it kind of looks like our upgrades are doing okay. 28% for the legendaries and then 32% for the rares, so they're almost completely even at this point, which is pretty much what we want them to be. So we'll put a bunch of cards out here and just kind of make sure that the boss is constantly running into this circular ring of death. And I think I can kind of just put this maybe right on him. I kind of can, but we're just going to clear out all these guys, just like that. This might not be the greatest boss to show this off on, so we'll just use the other ability, or the other gun, while we use our ability. Ouch. Yeah, so if we can keep spawning cards in, they're doing pretty good amounts of damage right there. It's a little bit difficult to see exactly what my primary skill is going to be, but we were able to kill him, and that's all that matters. So I could focus on the Falling Star upgrade, which involves the Astro houses all being the same colors and stuff. I'm going to go with the cards. Cards seem to be my main damage for this build right now. And as much as I really want to have this legendary, I'm going to reset it, because we could get a better one. Yeah, so this one's still legendary, so we'll grab that. I could definitely take that one a little bit better. I don't like the one that makes me deal, or I don't like the one that makes me take more damage. But after all of that, we now have a almost even probability of getting any sort of scroll here, except for this one. This one could count as anyone if it does show up. Alright, here's where the real game starts. So we're going to have to make sure that we are using our skills appropriately, getting all the damage out in the right areas, and trying not to be completely overrun by enemies. My whole goal in this area is to basically always have cards in front of me. As long as there's cards in front of me, I'll be dealing some pretty good damage. And as long as I'm dealing good damage, hopefully I'm not dying. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of the evil totem here. And we got a legendary. Okay, wonderful. Alright, so that was a pretty good upgrade there. 40% movement speed and rate of fire after using a dash. Yeah, so I wasn't really going to be using the primary too much there. I think I came out with a pretty good upgrade. Yeah, so the cards are doing a very good job here. And every time these red ones come out, I think that's basically because of legendary damages. So, yeah, all these red ones are dealing even more damage than they normally would. We could even use this other weapon here, because it's a pretty fun one to use. I can hide behind this rock. Everything is dying around me. They can't even reach me. That guy's not even trying to shoot at me. And yeah, I'm literally just able to kill just about everything around me. I guess this tornado wants to get in my way. But not much else is able to really hurt me. Even the flamethrower guy, who is usually kind of annoying, absolutely destroyed. Can't even touch me. Alright, so we have another legendary primary skill that we can do now, so we'll wait for the enemies to all be in a big group. That's a big enough group for me. He was an idiot, ran right into that thing, but yeah, you could see just how long even this guy died to it. That might have been my weapon, actually, because it was so far away, but it still fired for a very long time. So it's a somewhat viable option now for me. Alright, so we have the legendary effect ready to go. We'll have a elite spawning in just a few seconds here. Let's see how well this does against him. It's not the craziest amount of damage, but it did do what it needed to and kind of did some good damage. Yeah, our cards are definitely a lot better. Maybe his shield was sort of affecting that. I would like to think so. It was legendary after all. So this is another one of the newer abilities, so my ascensions are only limited to 2, but I could get both of the ones available to me 5 different times. So we'll grab that. More ascensions are always a good thing, so we'll hopefully have a net positive by the end of this. And we'll get a whole lot more of those. My card damage is also quite amazing right now. The cards, they are very good because they pretty much never miss. No matter what the characters are doing or what the other enemies are running at, I can basically hit them even around corners. I guess this guy was fighting for me, but not anymore. I have no loyalty. Yeah, the cards absolutely tore through that bandit. Even though I wasn't hitting him in his critical hit spot, he didn't last too long. So this involves me basically being out of ammunition. It might not be too bad once I get everything, but this one should be a lot better. So every time I just gain a Astrospect, I get a random bonus. So extra weapon and skill damage there. We're basically going to be seeing a lot more of that 20% damage. One thing I realized is I could also reload and then just try and see if I could get the legendary, so I was able to get that first try there. So just using the backup pistol there, basically was able to farm getting a legendary. So we'll see how well that does on the boss. Okay, so we're hitting him now. Yeah, I've kind of missed out completely on his critical hit spot, just based on the way that the enemy simply works here. I didn't want to lose it by reloading and completely kind of wasting it. It's okay, though. We'll figure out the right way to do this eventually. Alright, so let's use our cards, see what these do here. They are absolutely melting this boss. Okay, cards incredibly overpowered. I should have been using them since the start. I kind of keep forgetting. And this upgrade looks very tempting. Once this pile of acid clears, we will check it out. So 4% weapon damage for every 100 copper that I have. Thank you. This is also the newest weapon that you can get, the brick. It's a pretty fun weapon to use, so we'll use it really quick. I don't think this is the right character to use this weapon, but it's still a pretty good one. We might as well select both of these in this one. I don't really think we're going to have too many more of these where I'm getting multiple ones, so... Thanks to that lovely upgrade, we are now a lot more strong. Or a lot stronger. Yeah, so this brick is a one-shot weapon. Every time I use it, I'm going to be gaining another Astro Spec at the bottom there. So it's going to be very difficult for me to make sure that I'm using the ability, the primary ability, at the right time. Because if I'm just constantly throwing this weapon, which reloads in one hit, I'm going to very quickly miss out on my chance to hit the primary ability at the right time. We'll use the brick real quick. The brick is actually quite amazing. Every time you get a critical hit with it, it spawns out this little star, and you just gotta pick up the star, and it will increase the critical damage that your next shot does. You can basically just keep stacking critical hits. It's a very good brick. Everyone needs a good brick. So yeah, we're just making more critical damage for me. 58,000 damage based on one brick. Not sure what our cards are doing individually, but it is quite significant for them. And I might just stick with the brick for a while, because it's actually not only hilarious to use, but also pretty good. Alright, so we'll get the brick, and we'll have it combine the crit bonuses. So we got a crit brick right now, which is very cool. I can also get another, I think, etch on this. Wow, so that's 5. This is a very strong brick. Just hit him with the brick in the face. It's hilarious. I think this is my favorite weapon that they have added to this game. I can also reset this ability. Not sure how. I don't know what I did. Maybe there was an update that lets me do this, but somehow I got a legendary. Primary skill +2. I mean, we don't use it that much, but that is another legendary on our side. 52%, so we're well over the halfway point. Alright, cards are going out. Most things that are coming my way are cleared. And we're starting to make a very trivial game right here. Really don't have to worry about too much. Just making my cards and hitting enemies with bricks. Bunch of cards going off there. Took off most of the shield for the octopus. And that whole barrage of cards was able to completely kill that octopus. So yeah, as long as you have a bunch of cards, you are not doing a very bad job. You're basically going to kill just about anything. So this is a great time where I could take both of these. So this will give me a level 3 enchantment. This will make it level 2, so I'm just consuming even more, or I guess I'm getting even more shield. Alright, and now that this is actually at level 3, every time I get a legendary Astrospect or a wild one, I gain 1 extra card again, and the extras go into my reserves. So this is actually going to be pretty key, because I'm getting legendaries pretty much 50% of the time, even a little bit more than that. I also hit the wrong button. I'm a dummy. That's okay, I got the one that I wanted. And so just like that, I was able to manipulate my scrolls to get the legendary, so I can enter this vault. We have the legendary ability in just a couple seconds here. We can just use it right there. We'll see how much damage it does on these guys. He is a healing powerful monster. He's also dead, so it dealt pretty okay damage to these guys, especially when the idiot walked into it. I'm relatively okay with what we had happen there. And again, my build is not really centered around the primary skill damage. Let's see what we can do with cards here. Dummy. We're definitely a card skiller. Did I mention that? So I want to test something also. So we have 54% for legendary and 16% for the normal. This is a normal, but it's also enhanced. So if I have enhanced, what happens if I pick this one up? So 56% and 16. I don't remember what the numbers were a few seconds ago, but look, it's in the enhanced category, and it's got this little good symbol, so that must mean it's great. So I think if you're getting enhanced items, it is actually better than if you were to just get them in their normal versions. Alright, legendary acquired. We can just, well, he's dead. We'll just use that skill right there. This is, again, without any sort of upgrades to speak of, so... Imagine what would be happening if we did upgrade the primary. It's difficult to get it to work, and you have to really make sure that all your upgrades are working in tandem. But overall, things are quite effective. Just sort of making sure that I have cards in front of me, too. As long as there's cards around me, I'm doing damage. As long as I'm doing damage, I'm not dying.
You know what? You're right. I should have used the brick.
That is not at all what I'm saying.
Now, it might be nice to get both of these upgrades. They are both normal, though, so again, I'm just going to say no. I think having these better Astro specs here is just going to be more advantageous than having this one appear a little bit more often. These ones are good, so we're going to just try and keep it that way. Again, every time we get a legendary there, it makes my cards better too. It's not just the primary skill. Alright, we are suddenly the most powerful bird. Maybe the second most powerful bird in existence. So now all of our cards are going to deal elemental damage, and they will be able to pierce through anything. Including this extra, damage here. 480%, we're going to be getting that way more than anything else. And this time I'm going to make sure to select both of those, because they are both very nice upgrades. Let's go kill the next few things. So if I just use the cards once, I have too much to count. I can't even see them behind my little bird hands, so... There's probably about 50 there, I think, if we just took a rough estimation. And that card just kind of spawned in there. It was in the reserves, which is kind of cool. Alright, we could get a legendary scroll. I'm tempted. Yeah, that looks amazing. So now our chances are 61% of getting a legendary. We have far more legendaries than anything else in our inventory. And this is basically going to reflect it. Every time we pull out these cards, we're just dealing completely legendary status damage. Alright, Catfish Warrior's here. Just one of my secondary skills was basically able to destroy him entirely. Not sure if that was one or more of half of one. Either way, he's dead. I don't really think it matters. Also, we can now get extra crit damage, thanks to the Gemini on this, so our crit damage is now 7.1 times. Pretty strong for a simple brick. Oh my goodness. Okay, so 80% skill damage, as long as we don't buy anything from Peddler. Yeah, if I thought I was powerful before, I kind of forgot about that. So because this one is enhanced, I can still buy things from Peddler, and every time I talk to him, I gain 10% of my skill damage back, even though I might lose 5% if I happen to buy stuff from him. Which I'll be doing a little bit. We do need more cards. I'm a big fan of cards. Alright, we have the most annoying boss to fight, so we'll see how the most annoying boss fares against my brand new build. Alright, we got our legendary stuff ready, we got our brick bricked. Let's just throw that out. Doesn't really do anything to these guys. Time for cards. Alright, grab this. Alright, where's that octopus? He's down over this way. This is probably my worst boss, because he's a very annoying boss. Let's see how he deals with cards. Well, he would have died had his invincibility not procced for me dealing all that damage. Alright, eat cards. 52, pick up that. Yeah, the amount of damage that we're able to spray out, especially on a single enemy, quite insane. It may not be a lot. It's literal death by 1,000 cuts. Add another legendary to the pile. Yes, please. So this is a very good one for me to get too. There's a chance to summon 3 cards and obtained a arrow spect of the current arrow house anytime I consume 25% of my magazine capacity. So I do have a brick right now. I'm hoping that the brick is good enough to, you know, handle just about everything here. If the brick can proc that, then I get even more cards spawning in. If not, then I might just switch to something else that is using ammunition. And we'll continue with the card build. Yep, so there's now a 25% chance every time I use this brick that I'm basically going to be spawning a couple cards in front of me. So it's not the most reliable thing. I think if I switched to a more automatic weapon, it'd have to be a little bit more automatic than this, but these cards are spawning without me even touching anything. So we are suddenly able to get a lot of cards. Those cards I brought in myself. You could tell because there's like 500 of them. There's slightly more when I bring them in. You know, I like bringing in cards, so... I just bricked a monkey in the face. $157,000 damage. Not bad for a brick. But again, our main source of damage is certainly not coming from the brick. Yeah, right now the enemies are just getting hit by every single element all at once, so just like the Spiritual Assault course, they just don't attack me anymore. If they get hit by cards and end up living, they kind of just join my team. So even though I don't have any elemental damage on my brick, all the elemental damage in my cards are completely recruiting them to my side. They are now fighting for me. They can't help but not kill me. Also, that one upgrade that we got has been very nice, because now I'm just getting cards every couple of seconds. Pretty much every time I use my brick, I'm able to get a couple cards that spawn right in front of me, and I don't have to rely on using that secondary skill every single time. I don't even really think I need this, so let's just reset it again, see if we can get a legendary. We did get this, more crit damage. We're not going to get that second part, but, you know, crit damage. 243,000 damage. We're starting to really be a bird. Oh, well that was not me being a bird at all. Okay, so we're still mortal. Unlike, well, much like the enemies here. I think my biggest problem right now is that my one legendary skill is triggering, which means that I take more damage and deal more damage based on the number of enemies that I kill. And I basically maxed that out, so I'm taking all the amounts of damage possible. Oh, Elite Evasion? Okay, let's see what happens. That was the most difficult Elite Invasion, and the fastest I've ever been able to defeat that individual. I'm very happy right now. Yeah, so this dual edge, so I get 1% damage dealt every time I kill an enemy, and then 0.2% damage that I will take in return. And right now it's at 502 enemies, so whatever that is times 0.2 is basically the amount of extra damage coming into my general area. So yeah, I take a lot of damage, but I've kind of been playing a little bit slow, just letting my weapons do their thing. I think it's about time we go back into using my cards a little bit more. We don't really need this, but since we can take it for free, we'll do that. And we also were able to get that tier 3 upgrade. So every time we get a Astrospect obtained or consumed, which basically means every single time I hit Q, I will be gaining 7 shield. And it's going to be starting to recover immediately. As long as a card hits an enemy, I will not be able to die. Yeah, the only things that really can counter me, as I was saying, are the immortal enemies. Because they could just eat all of my cards without technically taking any damage. This is also great because I have that piercing ability. So when enemies really just start to stack up like they are right now, it doesn't really do too much to stop all my cards. I do need more cards, though. I won't say no to more cards. Alright, we have cleared out absolutely everything leading up to the final boss. I don't think the final boss is going to be doing very well. I got a lot of cards around me, and a lot of cards that deal a lot of damage. We'll pick up this one here. Nice thing, too, is that these also give 2 upgrades. So instead of you being forced to take one of them, I can take 2. Let's take both of these. This is also enchanted, which is nice, so our skill damage is going to go down just slightly because we are buying stuff from Peddler. It says every time I interact with him, it should go up. Yeah, it's still at 90. That's just fine with me. Upgrade the brick. Now let's head up top. We'll hit him with the legendary. Already he's going over there. Already that thing is broken. I'm barely using any of my skills, but there we go. We'll destroy this thing. Can we break it before he even gets there? Can we break him? Can we kill him before he's even over at this spot? Well, he's dead. Sorry that the final fight took so long, ladies and gentlemen. He does have a lot of health after all. Alright, let's turn in. Victory for Xiao. Alright, so our highest damage dealt, 398,000, so that's very low for what I would normally do. And it was probably all from the brick as well. That thing was getting pretty high up there. But the total amount of damage is where we really shine. 73 million total damage with a 52% hit rate. So I did spend a very long time doing this, but it was very fun to start learning this character. So there's the final build. 7 elites killed. Gained a whole bunch of soul essence. But as far as I gotta say, the owl, he's definitely worthy of being a bird.